We have seen properties such as these, and these, but not all of them are condominiums, because we may see condominiums and we call them apartments, and then we may see ordinary apartments and we call them condominiums. Much as condominiums can be apartments, apartments cannot be condominiums. What then differentiates condominiums and apartments? Because they are totally different. Now, for a property to be called a condominium, it must abide by the Condominium Act. The Condominium Act is the act that governs condominiums in Uganda. Now, for a property to be qualified as a condominium, it must have had a corporation formed to it. This may be new to most of us. What is a corporation now? A condominium corporation can only be formed when the condominium plans are registered at the office of the registrar in the Ministry of Lands. When the condominium plans are registered, then a condominium corporation is formed, which then marks that property as a condominium property, because then it follows the condominium system of operation, which is well governed by the Condominium Act and the condominium regulation. Someone may ask, what then are the condominium plans? You see the building plans, the normal building plans. Like if you're going to build a flat, you have building plans for them, that this is going to have these floors, these are how big the rooms are going to be, these are how many units this flat is going to carry. Maybe it will have a swimming pool, it will have a kids play area, it will have a gym. Now, all those amenities and details are supposed to be included in the building plans. Now, that entire plan, when you take it to the registrar at the Ministry of Lands as condominium plans, and then it's registered, immediately it's registered, a condominium corporation is formed to that particular condominium property. Whereas apartments, you can register them as any other building that is being put up to harbor people. Condominiums, on the other hand, have a whole act, which is a whole law that govern how they operate. That is where the trick comes in and where most people get confused, because understanding the act is also not so easy. And yet the law demands that if the property is a condominium property, it must abide by the laws that have been stipulated in the Condominium Act and the condominium regulation, of which an ordinary apartment will not need those laws. It will not need those laws as stipulated in the Act. But a condominium, specifically by force, have to be operated as per those laws. So why do I say that a condominium can be an apartment, but an apartment cannot be a condominium? Well, what is an apartment? An apartment is basically a unit where someone lives, within other units. Like you have a flat which has a number of units or a number of houses within them, and then one person maybe comes and harbors one unit, and then other people also harbor other units. Now, those units are called apartments. But the difference between condominium and apartments is basically the registration. The apartment, you don't need to register the plans as condominium plans, and it does not abide by the Condominium Act or the condominium regulation. Whereas a condominium must, I say must, abide by each and every word that have been stipulated within the Condominium Act and the condominium regulation. That is mainly the major difference. On the other hand, if you have your apartment that maybe you've been renting out to tenants, and you say, I want to turn this apartment into a condominium, it's possible. All you have to do is get the plans of that building and go to the registrar's office at the Ministry of Land and register those plans as condominium plans. Immediately those plans are registered, your apartment building becomes a condominium corporation, which has to strictly abide by the Condominium Act and the Condominium Regulation rules. So one may ask, why do I need to turn my apartment into a condominium? It's already giving me money. I have tenants there and it's giving me money. That is okay. Why people go for condominiums or turn their properties into condominiums is because they would like to sell those units. You see these flats here. Now, you cannot, you see, with the beauty with condominiums is that you can sell each one of those units. You see each one of those units in a flat, you can sell them to different people. When you register a property as a condominium, each of the units or each of the apartments that you're going to build is given its own title. Like every house within that flat block is given a title. Each unit is given a title that operates as any other land title. So if you build your property like this one and it has probably 20 units, each one of those units is given a condominium title deed, which operates as a land title, which means you can sell each one of those apartments to people. Let's say they are numbered 1 up to 20. You can sell each one of those apartments from 1 up to 20 to different people. If someone comes and wants to buy the whole unit, it's also fine. You can sell, someone may come and buy 2, someone may come and buy the whole 20, someone may come and buy 3 or 4. So the only system that allows for that selling and buying of units within a flat is if that property is a condominium. Much as condominiums in Uganda are mainly flats, just like these ones, condominiums can also be detached or semi-detached, townhouses, just like what Pearl Marina is doing in Garuga. Also, one major thing that differentiates condominiums with apartments is everything is shared. The bills are shared within the number of owners who have bought on that particular condominium property. The common areas are shared. There's a lot of sharing and rules in condominium communities. The same way apartments can be turned into condominium apartments or condominium units, or turned into the condominium system. Also, condominiums can be turned and they become ordinary apartments or ordinary houses. Why? You dissolve the condominium status of that property. What you do is the condominium title deeds that have been given for each one of those units are dissolved, and then the mother title of that property is reinstated. So it becomes an ordinary apartment or an ordinary building like any other building you see around. For a property to retain its condominium status, it has to have its condominium plans and its condominium corporation intact. Immediately that dissolves, it becomes an ordinary building or an ordinary apartment. So the next time you're buying a condominium, find out whether the condominium plans are registered. Because if that property you're buying does not have registered condominium plans, then it is not a condominium and you're not allowed to sell or buy that property. What ensures that this property is a condominium property and it can be bought or sold is its status of having registered condominium plans. Ordinary apartments are normally owned by one person who then rents it to tenants, right? But condominiums can be owned by as many people as possible. As long as you came, placed your money on a property and bought it, you bought a unit in a condominium property, you are an owner of that condominium corporation and you're given a full title deed. So much as one of the differences is much as an ordinary apartment is owned by one single person who then rents it out to other tenants, condominium can be owned by so many people. Each one of those units is owned by different people who then also rent them out to other people.